$1,000
We got some
XRP
updated information about the
$1,000. I mean, $1,000 is crazy, bro. You know, $1,000 for XRP means a lot of us here will be multimillionaires. Down 2.5K. It's not that bad. Can be worse. Can be down, you know, not me, but some whales are down 500K. That's completely normal for September. Is that, you know, now people are calling for $1,000 XRP.
Price thesis. Was it based on the Swift model starting to shift, the growth of the XRP ledger, or potentially the growth of stablecoin, or kind of a combination of all?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question, and a lot of people asked for the sort of more detailed explanation, which I'm currently, you know, working on sort of putting out. But I think, you know, for the purpose of this, you know, at a high level at least, it's a combination of all of them. Obviously, Swift is a big component, but then a lot of it is actually driven by the...
So yeah, they're calling for $1,000 with the Swift partnership. I feel like the Swift partnership is the key to $100 or $50, but not $1,000. $1,000 literally means, like, if you have 10 XRP right now, which is $30, you're gonna have tons of money. Like, you're gonna have $10,000. That kind of, you know, doesn't really add up, right? So key dates in September is, we will see. We'll see if there's any more key dates in September. I'll keep you guys updated on that as well.
Use cases that we're actually seeing on the ground, in person, in real life, all of these incredible projects that are coming out and actually utilizing the XRP ledger in different ways. Obviously, DeFi and finance are a huge, you know, use case. But then also, like I was talking about before, you know, billions and billions are transferred internationally from, you know, people in the US to people abroad, both in terms of business, remittances, but then also in terms of charity and all sorts of use cases. And ultimately, you know, when those applications really start to get used on an institutional level, that's really where you start to see not only more activity on the XRP ledger, obviously a huge, you know, multiple times explosion, but also you start to see people focus more in terms of just, you know, retail, looking at the...
Now, these are all key components, but the issue here, people are calling, you know, we have a saying in our country, don't count your eggs before they hatch, right? And he's already calling for 1,000 before we even reach $30. And yeah, retail is cool, institutional development is cool, but we really need banks to push that, and that might take up to 2 years, might take up to 5 years before they fully go live and take the tools. I feel like XRP is going to have a full release date in 2026, but that is only my speculation, right?
Sure.
Underlying. You know, that's why companies like Nvidia, for example, have seen, you know, 1,000-fold increases in the price, is because, you know, retail start to come and they start to see, oh, okay, you know, AI is really taking off now. What's the best way I can actually invest in that? It's through, you know, the products that Nvidia makes. And so ultimately, I think, you know, that's going to be a really interesting part of the whole story, is when, you know, those sort of 93% of people, obviously, you know, less accounting people who don't have access to the internet, etc. But, you know, that huge proportion of people who don't currently own crypto come into the space and, you know, figure out that XRP exists.
So well, and also this type of hype, you know, that we saw in 2021, I don't think retail is going to be that big. I think institutions are going to be the 10 times bigger on the chart.
Really quickly, in the beginning, he asked him, you know, because he gave a price prediction of $1,000 per XRP by 2030. So when he gave that prediction, I was thinking in the back of my head, like, man, this guy's a developer. He's been in the space. He sounds really intelligent. One of these guys is like summa cum laude, you know, brilliant person, right? I think they both are really smart people. But like, I was wondering, like, what is backing up that $1,000 prediction, right? What is the model he is using to get to that number? Was it just something that he threw out there for views and clicks?
Exactly.
And it sounds like he said that he's putting it together. You know, maybe I'm just being a little snooty here, but like, wouldn't you have this already together? Like, if you're going out on a, you know, a TV, you know, you're an interview, you're promoting your company here in front of the whole world, have the information ready, right? Because like, we are waiting for how you got to this $1,000. And
the issue is he's calling for $1,000 for the same, he said, like retail investors. These are the same indicators to $15, but he's calling for $1,000. This is what I don't understand. $15 XRP, believable. I totally get it. $1,000, we're going to need some, you know, back-end deals, some details, you know. I'm open-minded, but $1,000 is just crazy.
What needs to happen in order to do this? Anyways, let's keep going.
You've got the
pressure upwards on the price.
Exactly. You got obviously the ETFs, but I think also the professional money managers will start to see it.
Exactly.
Digital assets in general, and it
Yeah, and
changes
it'll really benefit.
outlook.
Yeah, it'll really benefit, the top 10, I think, and obviously the top 5, we'll see the biggest increases, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, etc. But then also, the fund managers don't often like to delve really far down, and take more speculative bets. So the ones with the most volume, the tokens, that look the most attractive to them will be naturally the ones on the top of that coin market cap list, so to speak.
Maybe I'm just being a little picky, but if you're going to come out and you're going to try to be like one of the leader in the space and you're developing this big project and, you have millions of people looking at you, like, let's have some of that data ready so we can like figure out, at least when Jake gives his price prediction, he says this, and this needs to happen, right? You're like, okay, I can understand that.
And Jake, even, his predictions is basically if, for example, oil crashes and it gets replaced with XRP or stuff like that, that's how XRP could reach $700. Or if we see a huge recession and then being rebuilt, the banking crashes being rebuilt on the XRP system. Again, this is like in theory possible. I don't think that's ever going to happen. That's why it's, so impossible to see 700 XRP. But just seeing the key indicators is not, enough to call me out and really get me interested in how this will change everything. I'm really interested what Ripple has to say, for their prices once 2026 kicks in, because they are having some massive development just in the past few days.
Right? I get that. I get where you're coming from with these prices because you just explained it. I need some explanation from my man here. All right, here's another clip. The Kwok brothers just dropped a major alpha on Paul's podcast. Let's listen.
So for sure. I just showed Canary Capital announcing their XRP Solana ADA. This was like their American-made crypto thing. We had Steven on last week. Great conversation. But Steven made a very big statement. And his statement was he believed that XRP, their ETF, would be the biggest ETF yet in all of crypto. Dom, I'll start with you. Do you agree with that in terms of inflows? This is just in reference to inflows.
Yeah.
Now that is huge because what we saw, the inflows for Bitcoin and Ethereum was during the bear market. And that's what really boosted Bitcoin. That's what I could believe in. And already XRP having so much trading volume right now from Korea. If we can get BlackRock on board, if we can get BlackRock to list the ETF, that's the 90% of volume, guys. That's where the biggest inflow part is going to be because BlackRock listed on Ethereum and Bitcoin.
I mean, I definitely would agree with that. I think, even if you just look at the XRP holder base, it's so big. And, I think XRP volumes, some of the highest on Coinbase and, the trading volumes are really the highest on many of the different exchanges or amongst, at least the top 3 after Bitcoin. And I think even just after Bitcoin, actually, in the most recent Coinbase report, but, Bitcoin, Ethereum and Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP, those are the, definitely the most liquid ones and most traded names. And I think, people who don't hold crypto and who don't sort of have...
All right, maybe these people are growing on me, but hold on. So the claim was the Canary Capital CEO said that the XRP ETF that they will get approved here, or the spot ETF, will be the biggest that their companies has ever done. So my mind was like, what other ETFs have they launched?
But that's Canary Capital, right? Canary Capital wasn't that big from my understanding. I could be totally wrong. They're just saying that it was the most requested one, which I definitely think it was most requested than maybe Ethereum. But how much of this inflows are we getting? Are we getting in billions or is it only going to be in millions? That changes the price from $4 to $15.
And so Canary Trump Coin ETF, Canary Staked Injective ETF. Oh, okay. So they didn't file a
Just
Bitcoin
markets
or
being
Ethereum.
bad.
This is why they're saying that this is going to be the biggest ETF that they've launched. I get it, right?
Yeah, because they haven't launched anything. Like they launched XRP. They wanted to launch all of these. So I totally understand why XRP is going to be biggest because they haven't really launched Bitcoin or other coins.
You don't have Bitcoin, you don't have Ethereum. Yeah, of course XRP is going to beat out Injective and Trump Coin ETF. What are you doing? Oh, sorry. I was expecting to see like a Solana or, something. I wasn't expecting to see this. So that is interesting. Okay, cool, man. Whatever. Right on. 7 days, U.S. markets become truly global. What does this mean? Ondo, what you talk?
Yeah, so Ondo is very connected to Ripple, guys. If you don't know, they're building for the BlackRock ecosystem, but BlackRock is paying them through the Ledger ecosystem or XRP Ledger. So let that sink in. Ondo, while it's competitor to XRP, they are working together in some ways from what I have heard, but these are only rumors.
About here. I got it. In 7 days, on September 3rd, 2025, Ondo Finance will launch its own global markets platform, enabling access outside of the US to tokenize US stocks, ETFs, bonds via blockchain, allowing 24/7 trading, fractional ownership, and non-US investors. Ondo's global reach and markets. Ondo's global reach is tokenization platform, bringing thousands of US listed securities, whether stocks, ETFs, and bonds on chain for worldwide access, except US residents. Ooh, that sucks. I'd imagine they're going to need regulation in order to do this, probably, right? Because they're going to be offering all kinds of different products, and until you have regulation and
I feel like, yeah, you can't even get listed list coins right now. Otherwise, like other institutions would do it. That's why XRP couldn't be listed because of the lawsuit. It couldn't even be on the exchanges.
What's what? They can't really do it to US. The platform offers instant minting and redemption of tokenized securities using stablecoins, are free, and tokens are freely transferable using DeFi with no platform lock-in. So this is really unique, right? An example here of what I'm thinking how this is, when you buy a treasury bill, right? Whether you 6 months or a year, whatever the length is, you're locking that money up, you're giving that money to the government. They give you this bond and they pay, a dividend on the bond. Once the bond expires, you get your money back plus the interest that you earned. Being able to do this through like money market funds, you're going to be able to get an even more higher percent interest, and you're going to be able to make this 24/7 tradable. So let's say that you are halfway through and you needed to get some of that money back. Something happened in your life, or you just want to invest in something else. You're going to be able to take that actual token and trade it real time, 24/7, 365. You don't have to wait for markets to be open or closed. Now you can do some of this stuff with the traditional systems, but it needs to be Monday through Friday, 9 to whatever, 3 o'clock. And anyways, 24/7, 365 accessibility. Non-US investors can gain exposure and trade US securities anytime, overcoming national market hours and barriers. Like, this is the biggest problem. Say you live in England, right? Or Europe. By the time you are waking up, American markets are closed, right? By the time you're going to sleep, they're just opening. So sometimes people stay up all night to trade these markets. This will allow them to get access to these markets anytime, anywhere.
This is what also real world assets will save. ETFs, I don't think you can buy US ETFs all around the world. Also applies on regulations. But again, guys, there's a Canadian ETF for XRP. There's a US ETF for XRP. There's a ton of ETFs. It's not just one type of XRP. It is around the world, and with more regulation, which I've been calling for the Crypto Clarity Act, it's really pushing XRP prices toward. XRP prices were locked to $5, bro, for a very simple reason. XRP had ongoing lawsuits. It really didn't even have a plan until it was saved from this lawsuit. Now the price plan, the prices become much, much higher, $15, $20. People would call you crazy maybe a few years ago when XRP couldn't even push past $1 because of all the lawsuits, all the problems it had, and all the risk with regulation.
You don't have to, some of these people, these traders can actually start sleeping in maybe. Fractional ownership, investors can buy portions of equities or ETFs, democratizing access to high value US assets. So, if you are in a country and it's difficult for you to save in the currency of that country due to inflation or whatever the reason is, right? You want to start investing in something that you feel is more secure. So you're looking at US stocks and bonds and these types of things. If you can't afford an entire stock of, let's say, Tesla stock or Nvidia stock, you could buy a fractional share of a quarter of a share or half a share. This is really going to open up all kinds.
Now, this is what I don't get with real world assets. Like, yeah, Ripple is trying to develop real world assets, but can't you buy a fraction of something? You can buy a fraction of XRP, you can buy a fraction of a share. They're talking about real estate. You can buy a fraction of a real estate, fraction of a gold, fraction of a furniture. This is where it really makes it powerful to put everything on the digital web. Also because everything is going to be trackable. You can see who sold it, who bought it. Same for land. You can buy a fraction of land with XRP on the XRP ledger, potentially 5 years into the future.
Of access and level the playing field across the world for everybody, which I think is going to be extremely beneficial. And you notice how crypto is really starting to serve the US markets here. I mean, obviously they have to wait for regulation to come in here, but they're opening The rest of the
Like the US market has like 37 trillion debt or even 40 trillion. Of course, they're going to try to find some awesome technology out that way. They're going to look at different paths, how to make money for the US government. And the first one that comes to mind is AI and XRP, guys.
world to US markets 24/7, 365. And if you look at any major stablecoin in the crypto market, 99% of stablecoins in the crypto market are US dollar backed. So am I crazy to say that crypto is kind of saving the US dollar right now? And
Yeah.
the US dollar, the US needs crypto more than the rest of the world does? It kind of feels like that in my heart.
I mean, other countries were working with XRP before they could work, in the US anyway. So other countries need XRP just as much as US. Yeah, US is going to benefit a lot from it, but it depends how much they want to use it. If they don't want to use it, then it's kind of useless for them. But yeah, other countries, like more developing countries, I feel like they need XRP way more than the US dollar. The US dollar is still one of the strongest in the world.
A soul, but you let me know if I'm a little off on that. Crypto Eerie says researchers waiting to do due diligence on leak logos which choose the XRP ledger for their digital strategy. Please do so in Chinese. Here is your starter. Licensed money transmitters in BIS project with Standard Charter, added 244 core enterprise and financial institution clients to its supply chain solutions. Total number of clients, 1,352, a 22% increase compared to 2024. The company has helped 380,000 small to medium-sized enterprises access digital inclusive fintech services. August 26, RMB 203.6 billion total revenue. Productivity lays out global supply chain applications for scenarios based on compliant stablecoins, and she provided the links. Crypto Eerie.
It's always good there's something happening behind the scenes that doesn't even make it to the XRP news.
Always does a stellar job, and glad to have her. Now, I don't know who this person is. Big Sean, Crypto Bitlord posted this.
So Big Sean, if you don't know who is, he's a rapper. And the XRP brand is supreme. Every single person knows what XRP. It is becoming more known than Bitcoin at this point. At least more talk than Bitcoin on social media. So I definitely believe it's going to be like, it hit mainstream already. If you don't believe me, just check like the statistics. XRP trending every single week. It is the coin that everybody's talking about, even rappers, not just banks, not just institutions. It is becoming like the main thing. I don't want to say famous brands, but you know what was popular like all other years.
Sean is telling people to buy crypto, mentions, well, here, I'll just let him.
And if it is one time that I'm going to say this, crypto, and if it is one time that I'm going to say this is not, you're not too late. Invest in crypto right now. Tonight if you can. Like, do that shit tonight. You're going to get a return from it. You know, Bitcoin is a good one. Ethereum. What's the other one you said? Ripple. Invest in that shit. I'm telling y'all right now, this is a quick flip. Do it tonight. It's about to go, you know.
It's a quick flip. Some of us are here for the long term, but I get the quick flip.
10K, XRP to 10K. People are calling for 10K. Again, top 3 cryptos. That's what they're calling for.
The interesting part of here is I'd imagine this is probably younger.
Guys, look what happened like 4 years ago. Bitcoin and Ethereum are now going to be forever in the crypto space. So is XRP. A lot of these coins might be gone. September, yeah, it's a pretty bad month for September. But, when you look at long term, it's not looking that bad at all.
Generation likes this person's music or whatever they are doing, but you don't hear all of these artists saying, go buy stocks, right? That's what you should do with your time. Yeah. People are like, go buy crypto. And more young people are like, yeah, crypto, crypto makes sense to me.
I feel like a lot of people are looking for easy money, and those are going to get burned. They're going to say, oh, XRP only did a 100x in 2 months or 3 months. You got to be realistic, right? And the thing is, stocks are really slow gains while crypto are much more risky. So you got to understand, September is going to be potentially, in my honest opinion, a very bad month. I feel like XRP is going to go down 30%. And I'm not too scared. October, if October is down, then I'm going to be scared.
Can connect with it. I can understand it. I've been on an iPhone since I was 1 year old, right?
And of course, when the market drops so much, you have to kind of, let people cash out and let new ones come in, right? That's what we always see with the markets. When the cryptos go really up, it also has to go down a bit. And September really seems to be that month where cryptos went up in August, July, June. XRP kept going up, and now 1 month it's going to have a break.
Know this stuff. This is going to be beneficial for
So November 22nd, I hope November 22nd is the big month, but we have a Crypto Clarity Act incoming as well.
Younger generations to build wealth extremely quickly over the next 5 or 10 years. I wish I would have known about crypto 10 or 12 years ago. I'd probably be a billionaire by now, buying Bitcoin at stupid prices, and then Ethereum, and then of course XRP. But you know, we get in when we get in, and that's when we got to catch up, learn as much as we can, and grow as quickly as possible. Now, Armando Pantoja has this clip here talking about a 10,000 XRP, saying most people get it flipped with market cap. All good. Let's listen to what he has to say.
I think XRP will hit $10,000 one day.
People always ask that, and it potentially can. And people always come back and say the market cap argument. The market cap is not a true representation because money flows into crypto a lot differently. The market cap is not a representation of money flowing into crypto. It's only a representation of what it's worth. So a lot less money has to flow into XRP to push the price up. A few billion over a few weeks, it will push it over $10, $15.
Wow, just from a few billion?
Yeah, over a shorter period of time. Though. I really believe in XRP because I believe.
So that's the thing. The ETFs, they could really push the prices up, especially once we get those listings in October. You know, and I'm really counting on those ETF listings. But again, we need to have everyone in. I'm calling in, you know, the biggest ETFs have to publish it, not just the small ones, because they're going to have those customers that were buying Ethereum and Bitcoin before. They're going to buy also XRP. They will want to hold a portfolio, especially corporations after the Crypto Clarity Act.
The government artificially kept it down for years. That's the reason why we've seen a rapid growth in XRP since the Trump administration, because some of those artificial restrictions are being lifted off of XRP.
Right.
So it's still a lot of room to grow, and there's still a lot of potential going forward with XRP. Whenever something's been held back, we see the growth. It's going to happen regardless, but it happens rapidly over a short period of time.
Interesting.
I feel like XRP corrected itself, basically the price after the lawsuit.
Remember, anytime you have a market cap multiplier, it isn't indefinite, right? It isn't all the time. Once you get to a certain level, that market cap multiplier won't be 100 or 500x. It'll be 50x, then it'll be 25x, it'll be 10x, it'll be 5x, right? It'll slowly get withered down. You look at Bitcoin right now, and the market cap multiplier for Bitcoin is only, I think, 5 to 10 at this point, depending on the day and the inflows and outflows. So it's not, you know, still going to take a whole lot of money to get to a $10,000 XRP, and XRP would have to represent.
So the Clarity Act just passed the House. If I remember correctly, it's going to be around October. Need to double check on this one exactly. It's coming. They might announce it. But yeah, I will keep you guys updated because the core version to pass the Senate is what really we are waiting for crypto.
A lot of the world's value. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see it. But to get there, we are talking about a lot of bad things happening to the world and everybody moving to XRP and using Ripple solutions to...
I feel like it's kind of normal for the markets to crash. Wasn't there just a huge XRP leak? We got to talk about this, guys. Another XRP leaker